And even though I know I am.
Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
I'll be okay.
Good to see you.
Mr. Ellie, how are you?
City, a place of authentic transformation and Titans fans. Tighten up, go Titans. Thank you so much for being here and bringing your uniqueness to us and blessing us with who you are. Would you please stand up and join us in singing? Thank you. I've got joy, joy, joy. I got some announcements for you. Today, our lesson theme for January is the art of abundance, creating a life worth living. Got an amazing message coming up from Reverend P as usual. Now, we've got some special needs for Dotson Chapel. That includes canned meats, tuna and chicken, pasta sauce, cereal bars, jellies, soups, and chili. Thank you so much for your support. Now, Sherry, you got something more to say, don't you?
Not yet.
No, not yet? Okay. All right, well, I'll just cross out that cut to Sherry talking. Okay. Now, the gift of change is next Sunday, so if you got any change rattling around, bring it on in. Every penny counts. Please, 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 clean out your car. That's where you'll find it. Right next to the French fry. And just a small reminder to the bylaw committee, we're going to meet after service today. Now, I got some more announcements for you, but I feel like singing first. How about y'all? Come on, stand up again. I want to hear what you got.
We are one with all creation. Endless are our possibilities. Wake up, join the celebration. Everyone's welcome in this community. Celebrate with joy. Celebrate the love we share. Celebrate peace and harmony. Celebrate with joy. Celebrate the love we share. Celebrate our unity. Celebrate with joy. Celebrate the love we share. Celebrate peace and harmony. Celebrate with joy. Celebrate the love we share. Celebrate our unity. Celebrate our unity. Celebrate our unity. I just want to celebrate. 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 I want to celebrate another day of giving. I just want to celebrate another day. I just want to celebrate another day of giving. I just want to celebrate. Oh, I just want to celebrate. I just want to celebrate. I just want to celebrate. I just want to celebrate.
Y'all are killing it this morning. Woo, I love the energy. Looks like the hospitality committee had the coffee flowing. Good. Okay, lunch watch has started up again. Woo!
Yes.
Come and join us if you are free at midday on Wednesdays. We'll meet at 11:30 for a book discussion. Apparently this was 11 because it's too, I don't know. I'm throwing peace up everywhere. Okay. We'll meet at 11:30 for a book discussion and bring your own lunch if you care to. The new book will be The Art of Abundance, 10 Rules for a Prosperous Life by Dennis Merritt Jones. And now a Wednesday evening meditation will be starting up in the near future. Woo! There's more information to come, so stay tuned. On Friday, January 24th is the Healing Arts Potluck. This is at 6:30 p.m. and please bring a dish to share, as well as many, many ideas. B?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I have not done this for a while, and I would like to remind everybody that we have prayer chaplains here. So I'm going to ask the prayer chaplains to either stand or raise your hand. Please know that the prayer chaplains are here to pray with you. Don't forget that we're here if you need prayer. This seems to be a time when people want to have prayer, so here we are. Thank you. See if this sounds familiar. There is just one presence and just one power in my life and in all the universe. And so today, January 19th, 2020, we affirm together, remembering our oneness with all creation, we awaken the world to infinite possibilities. Say it again like you mean it. Remembering our oneness with all creation, we awaken the world to infinite possibilities. Infinite. What would my life look like if I remembered with every breath I took? Maybe I would have more clarity on how to move through the experiences I encounter. Hear these words of Max Ehrmann, written in 1927. Desiderata. Go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you to sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors, and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world, a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy.
So as we have listened to the words written in 1927, they kind of feel like they could have been written today. So let's begin with a reset breath. Just allow anything that you brought in here with you today to just go. And then allow your breath to begin to balance, because it knows exactly how to do that. We are remembering our oneness. Not only with the people that we're sitting close to right now, but with all people on this planet, with all animals on this planet, with all trees and bushes and flowers and grass on this planet, with all waters on this planet. We are one. So in this moment, begin to be gentle with yourself. Because within all of us are challenges when it comes to oneness. And we can only move as fast as the slowest part of us can go. But remembering that each of us are children of this amazing universe we live in. And whether or not it's clear to you what your purpose is in this now moment, know that if you're willing to open up to the flow of oneness, it will become clearer and clearer and clearer in the silence, in the silence. Go placidly, calmly, blissfully, amid the noise and the confusion in the world. And remember that peace is found in the silent moments, in the spaces between. And when you enter those spaces, there is only one presence and one power.
There is just one presence and just one power in all the world. There is just one presence and just one power.
favorite special music guests, Definition.
The pressure. I'm delighted to be back here. It's been a little while, so it's nice. The song is called I Am That I Am, and I feel compelled to share just in this oneness. But this song is actually written for a rescue dog of mine who was going through his transition. I ended up being his shaman, going through his transition, one of the most mystical experiences, I think, of my life. And I started writing it with him laying in the doorway of my studio, and I finished writing it after he had transitioned. And yeah, he is definitely one of my angels. I live among the trees, the roots, the bark, the leaves. I'm in every raindrop, oh, every summer's breeze. We are all connected, earth, moon, sun, and sky. When we breathe together, it's always you and I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am. Oh, I float upon the water, I dance upon the sand. I'm in every footstep, every heartbeat. I am every outstretched hand. There is no separation, only the divine. No end and no beginning, just love and light intertwined.
So if you listen to the words of her song, it tells you really how to do this. Some of us that have been very religious in our past have read those words from a Bible, I am that I am, and thought that it only referred to Jesus the man. That is false. It refers to each of you. It refers to the Christ Spirit that is inside of each of you. So I want you to look at the person beside you and say, I am that I am, and then let them say it to you.
Hello.
And then just check in with yourself. Because some of you, that's not a far stretch. And some of you are feeling like you've already blasphemed the Holy Spirit in this moment. If you think that the things that Jesus, the Master Teacher, said were just about himself, you're about the Christ Spirit. There's a difference between a human being and the nature of love that lived inside him. Which is what I'm attempting to teach you all for this 6-month period. Because if you are aware of that presence inside you, then there is no lack of anything that you need. Yes. So exhale. Because I just saw somebody exhale. Everybody exhale. That means anything that you think in your life that is missing right now, you need to contact this inner essence that is love. Gabby, you just did that over the weekend, didn't you? This young lady, raise your hand. Just enrolled in college, and then after she enrolled, found out she had a scholarship to pay for it all. That's abundance. Do you understand that? But you have to line up with it in the universe. And some of us are lined up with, I'm a lowly sinner, or I'm not good enough. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch. Isn't that interesting? Why would we call ourselves a wretch? Why would we sing that for years and eons? Why would we sing that? We were told to. I am unworthy to partake in bloody, whatever that is. That was the last Sunday that I ever sang in Downtown Presbyterian Church when I said to them, I'm sorry, but I cannot stand up and affirm this every Sunday morning. And they said, if you don't, you can't be one of those paid people that gets to sing up there. Well, then I can't. Because I can't affirm that I'm not worthy because I am worthy. But think about what organized religion has done for hundreds of years to us as individuals, telling us that we're not. And now we're having to unlearn that. So again, look at that person beside you and say, I am that I am, and then tell them how that feels to you to say that.
And I am the Papa the Sailman.
Now, one of the problems that I see with all of this stuff that we're talking about is because we all try to be what we think we're supposed to be. And we're all different on some level, but we're all still the essence of the Christ. Because we came into these bodies and went, oh, I'm going to create this world for me. And it may not look like somebody's sitting right beside you. But that doesn't make mine wrong or yours right. It just makes a difference. Does that make sense? But in organized religion, we were told you had to walk a certain path, and if you did not walk that one, then you were going to burn. Forever. We're burning forever right here. Until we get up out of this belief system. You understand that? Some of us have created pure hell in our lives and are learning how to not do that anymore. So we're resetting our breath. We do that every Sunday morning. We are rebooting our beingness, because when you reset your breath, your DNA picks up different stuff. And you're just resetting and rebooting who you are as a person. But the other thing we're doing is I'm giving you little things to chew on. I don't ever expect people to believe what I believe. All I can tell you is some of the things I share with you, I want you to think about. That's all. Just think. We aren't taught to do that in our world either. We're taught to regurgitate what somebody hands us. Yeah. Right? There's a college professor back there going, yes, that's what we're taught. It's what I taught my boys. They were like, I don't like this, and I don't agree with this. And I said, if you want an A, you better say this and give them back what they gave them. And my son Austin would say, that's dumb. I'm like, well, that's the game. That's the game we play. Give them what they're looking for. I did that in ministerial school. I had people going, I don't agree with this. I'm like, do you want to be ordained or not? If you want to be ordained, you better say what Charles said. And then once you are ordained, you can say whatever you want to say. That's how it works. I've heard people who have PhDs, who are psychiatrists, say, I don't buy into any of that anymore. But I had to get my certificate. And now I practice in the way that's more holistic. Get it? So the first week that I started teaching this, I said there are rules. I knew you would go, These are universal rules that if you go against them, your world is not going to work. Some of us that like to fight against rules don't like it. But what happens if you try to go against the rule of gravity and get up on the roof of this building and jump off? So these are universal principles or rules that have been proven over time. They're not just written in the Bible, or they're written in every sacred text. So there must be something to these rules. There must be something about putting them into your life and believing in them that's going to make a difference. Each one of these rules has a premise and a problem. You're going to figure that out in just a minute, because we talked about it last week. Then there's a principle that we're studying, and then there's a practice. We don't like that either. I mean, it's something I got to do. I got to get up off my behind and do something different. But there's a payoff to the practice. If you want to become a piano player like Judy Blackwater, what do you have to do? Practice. You got to. That's just what goes on in our world today, is that if I have a goal for myself and I want to do that, I have to practice. Okay? So, the first rule, somebody read that out loud, is what? Be one with what? Life. Do you ever see any things in life that you don't like? Do you understand you got to be one with that too? There's the deal, because we push against it, don't we? If you're ever going to make anything change in the world, you have to open up to it and put it into your circle and allow your energy to shift it. Can you hear that? You can't push against it, because all that does is separate yourself from whatever it is and create more separation. Now tell somebody how you feel about what you just heard. Because some of you didn't like it, I know. So one of the things I do when I'm up here or when I'm working with people is I read the energy in the room, and the energy was stiff and then all of a sudden it opened up. I don't know if you felt that. But it was like in the talking about it, that's why I get you all to discuss some of these things together. In the talking about it, even if you're spinkered up about it, some of that unleashes itself a little bit when you hear words coming out of your mouth or you hear what somebody else has to say. So the premise about this be one with life is when I become one with life, I see abundance everywhere I look. Now remember, this is a universal principle. You can have an abundance of shit. Excuse me, there's a child in the room. But you can. And abundance means you've got a bunch of it. You get that? We're gonna look deeper today about the difference between abundance and prosperity. That's two totally different things. Abundance is that there is enough of it to go around. I can promise you that that S word that I said, we've got 5 dogs. There's enough of it to go around in our house. In our yard, we have an abundance of that. We do. I don't always want an abundance of that, but I got it. Gotcha? The problem is we have a belief in what? So when I said last week that we have an abundance of food in America and there's enough for everyone to eat, some people are like, we have enough food in the world and there's enough for everyone to eat. The problem is we don't know how to share. We do not know how to share our resources with each other in a way that works. So belief in one presence and one power leads me to align with the abundant universe because I know that this is what I'm aligning with. And I want an abundance, but I want to be able to choose what my abundance is in. Does that make sense? So I have to begin to practice mindfulness. That's a word that is very much used out in our world today. And we're going to look at what that really means. But being mindful means that I'm paying attention to everything all the time. That's difficult. Because sometimes I'm just paying attention to what's going on inside of me. Because I'm sitting by somebody I don't like, and that's all I can see and hear and feel. You know what I mean? Somebody in the room that I'm like, oh dear God, there they come again, okay. I have no idea what else is going on because there's an abundance of that inside of me. Does that make sense? So begin to be mindful of what's here and what's here all the time. And the payoff is what? And what is abundance? A lot of something. A whole lot of something. So if I'm feeling unhappy and disgruntled, what am I paying attention to? Whatever all that is that made me unhappy and disgruntled, is that all that there is in the world to pay attention to? No. So I'm going to ask the million-dollar question, why would I pay attention to that? Have a conversation with someone beside you. So I hope you're beginning to see there are no right or wrong answers to all this. But there are slight movements within yourself that you can make to make yourself happier if you want to. That's only if you want to. I've had people say, oh, I don't even know what joy and happiness are. I can't do that. I'm like, okay. What can you do? Where can you get? Because that's up to an individual person. What kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to be more mindful of the abundance of good versus the abundance of evil? Because there's both. There's both out there. There's all kinds of negative stuff you can pay attention to. The true spiritually mature individual can cut through the darkness and see some good. Even in the worst situation. Everybody breathe, because some of you are going, that's our work. That's why we're here. That's why the Christ light is inside you. That's why you're awake. That's why you're sitting here in these seats, because there's part of you that knows that, and then there's a part of you that pushes against it. Because it's easier just to do it the way everybody else is doing it out in the world. Let's put a magnifying glass on everything that's wrong and shove it out there in front of everybody. You ever watched the news lately? Yeah. The first 5, 10, 15 minutes is all about who has been shot and killed and raped and pillaged and blah, blah, blah. Huh. So how would a group of people on the planet decide that that's the most important information for everybody to get? Just breathe. I'm not saying right or wrong, I'm just asking you to think. So, difference between abundance and prosperity. Abundance is an overflowing quantity or supply of something. A lot of it. So what is it that you have a lot of that is useful for you? Do you know? It might be some sort of trait, some sort of skill. We know Deborah's, some of hers. She shared them with us this morning. What is it that within you have an overflowing quantity or supply of that you're willing to share? Because remember, if you're not willing to share, it probably will dwindle. Now people breathe. Because I see people sitting there like this. It's mine. Mine. What is it that I have an abundance of, that I'm willing to share? Because there's always enough. But what if I share all of this and it runs out? Oh no. But there's always enough. Because if I'm connected to the universal flow of all good, then I'm just going to keep getting filled up the more I share. Deborah Bishop's not going to walk in here one Sunday morning and say, I can't sing or play ever again because I've done it so much, I'm done. I can't, there's no more to come. We would go, that's bizarre. But we say that about ourselves sometimes. I hear people say, oh, I don't have enough time. Don't come in my office and tell me that. Because the first thing I'll say for you is tithe your time every day, and you're going to begin to see how you have more time than you know what to do with. And people go, I don't believe you. I might just try it. Because the people that say I don't have enough time, guess what? They never have enough time. Because they keep saying it. I have people that say, I don't have enough money. Begin to tithe. Even if you can't do 10%, do 2%, do 3%. The people that don't never have enough. Never. Never. Ever, ever, ever. What I give, I'm going to receive. Can you hear that? That's a universal principle. Prosperity is what? What's the difference in the two?
Prosperity is specific.
There's nothing wrong with being prosperous. There's a lot of people in New Thought that talk prosperity on both sides of the coin. There is nothing wrong with being prosperous, but you have to keep working at it. Abundance is the consciousness from which it comes. But then you have to do something to be prosperous. Working a job would be good. Doing something that brings in prosperity, if that's what you want. You may go, oh, I don't care. Then fine. Can you see the difference? Can you hear the difference between abundance and prosperity? Because we get them confused. Abundance is a state of mind. Prosperity is something that you either have or you don't have. And then you have to look at your definition of prosperity. Some people just say it's money. To me, it's a life that works. And I have very specific requirements for my own personal life to work. And this is what it looks like. And I've been working on that for 35 years. It's not something you can just go, oh, I'm going to decide what that is. You have to really know you. What would it look like if you lived a prosperous life? What would that look like? So, that I am being that we talked about that came to the planet, he said this. Somebody read that out loud.
I came that you may have life and have it more abundantly.
Huh. Did he say anything about prosperity? Interesting. He said, I came that you may have what? Life. And have it more abundantly. What would it be like to live an abundant life? Talk to your friends. can you begin to see that living an abundant life might be prosperity to you in certain areas? And your answer might be different than somebody across the room. And hear me, there are no right or wrong answers to this. It's what feels right for you. But there are 3 different kinds of mindsets. And again, there's no right or wrong here. But you need to begin to understand where you fall and where you think you want to be. And what's important to you. Remember, Judy and I have a very dear friend who's a lawyer in town. Her name is Jennifer McCoy, and she said to me, when I went through college, my desire and dream was to be very, very wealthy because I wanted to be a philanthropist. And so she is. She makes lots and lots of money and gives lots and lots of money away because that's what she wanted to do. My belief is because that was her mindset, the universe went, oh, yay. So don't look at that and go, "Argh," because it may be you. Jennifer craved to make a lot of money because what money could buy. A lot of her money goes to St. Jude every year. There's nothing wrong with money. We use it in this world. But some of us get to a certain place in our spirituality and we go, oh, I can't be focused on having money. Well, you better. You're going to have to pay your bills with something. They don't take chickens and whatever anymore. They may someday, but right now they don't. So don't rise above something that we use in this world and say, I'm not a part of that. Because if you become separate from money, then guess what? You won't have it. Edwene Gaines, every year, she is retired now, people, and she needed to. But every year she had a minister's retreat, and one of the things she did with us was give us $1,000, and people would pour the $1,100 bills all over your body. And you would smell it, and feel it, and you could taste it. And then she would make us process that. And there were people in the room who was like, well, that's really hedonistic, we can't do this. She was like, if you want to be prosperous, you got to love money. Breathe. Because I've had people go, no, I'm too spiritual. Whatever you believe. Right? A prosperity mindset is I have and maintain. That's important for you to hear. A prosperous quality of life. Maintain. What does that word mean to someone? Deb Moore, you're my professor back there. What's the word maintain mean?
Keep it going.
Keep it going. Some of us at times have had prosperity and then it disappeared because we didn't keep it going. We thought we could sit on our behinds and go. Right now, we live in this world that we came into. And this world takes money to run, right? So read that, somebody.
I live in an abundant universe, and there is enough for all of us when we learn to share.
When we learn to what?
Share.
Huh. So do you know which one of those mindsets speaks to you the most? Do you know if there's one that you're pushing against? Because remember, being one with life means I don't push against anything. So just pay attention. This is straight out of Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. Deb, you have a loud voice, I think, my friend.
I do.
Read the top one.
Poverty is a way of living and thinking, and not just a lack of money and things.
Let that sit inside of you. And just pay attention. Am I pushing against it? Am I open to thinking about what that means? Dennis, would you read the next one?
Prosperity and abundance is a way of living and thinking, and not just a lot of money and things.
So sit with that. And where are you in all of that? When I was preparing for this lesson, I began to think about my 7th grade year, which was not pleasant. Most 7th grade years are not pleasant. But I had grown up in Woodbine. Middle class, low middle class. When I was in the beginning of my 6th grade year, the state of Tennessee came to my parents' house and said, we're buying all of this property here for $440. So the house that I grew up in is where 440 is now. And so my parents had to make a decision about where they were going to move and what they were going to do. And a decision about me, because this involved lots and lots, hundreds of children that went to Whitsitt Elementary School years ago. And we were all just thrown to the four winds. So my parents decided that they wanted me to be a good Christian girl, and they sent me to David Lipscomb. But the one thing I will tell you is most of the kids in my class in the 7th grade lived in Belmead. And so I was like, okay, how in this world am I from Woodbine going to fit in with all of this? But I began to watch. And over the years, what I paid attention to is those kids never believed there was not going to be enough. And they never believed in lack. And they never believed that something bad was going to happen. Now, whether or not I loved all those kids, because no, I did not. Some of them I'm like, woo. I began to understand that poverty or abundance or whatever is a way of thinking, and after you have been in it for a long period of time, that's just the way you think. And one of the biggest gifts that my parents gave me was putting me into the middle of all of that, so I began to look at my own consciousness and go, how do these people make this work? Because it wasn't just about money. When they were in the 7th grade, those kids didn't have money. Their parents did, but they didn't. It was about consciousness. So I want you to have a conversation with somebody beside you about the difference in the way we think when we feel like we don't have enough, and the way we think when we know that we do. Go. So I put this quote up here because this is the weekend. And also because we need to clarify sharing. Because I can share a whole lot of money to somebody, and then it'll be gone. For them too. If they don't have the consciousness to hold on to it. Can you hear that? So maybe, just maybe, yes, we share some of what we have, but we need to be able to share these concepts with people. Hence what we're doing a little bit in One Nashville. I was at a meeting yesterday, and we were talking about how to explain abundance to people in North Nashville. They don't get it. Because the majority of them have a poverty mindset. And so in April, the Red Cross is going to come, and one of the things they're going to do is go door to door. And I will eventually get this information out there to some of you who might want to be involved. And they are just gifting these people smoke alarms for their homes. And they're going to put them in all the homes in North Nashville. Because one of the things that the people in North Nashville said is we don't have the money to do that, and we don't even know how they work. Easy. How do we get these principles to people who have a poverty mindset? I'm not 100% sure. You know, if you give someone a fish, they will just keep coming back to you for more. And it's not that I don't give people fish, but sometimes after that same person has come back to me 40 times, I'm like, honey, you need to come on, let's get a fishing pole and learn how to do this. You know what I mean? Which is what you all can do. You can teach people, because part of the sharing is the knowledge that you have of how to live an abundant life. What does that look like? We see the universe as a solid fact. God sees it as liquid law. Think about how that shifts everything. Everything in our world, even a drop of dew, is a microcosm of the universe. We're all a part of all of it. Emerson said this 100 years ago. It's not new today. So it's practice time. What does that look like? So just pay attention to yourself right now. How often have you been in your seat, fully engaged, or how often have you been off in La La Land doing something else? Just pay attention. There's nobody that's going to come in and go, I send you to hell because you haven't been here all the time. But are you aware of how much you can pay attention and be in a place and how much you cannot? And that's the first knowledge of yourself. Mindfulness is achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, whatever's going on in the present moment, while calmly calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. How do you do that? How do you be mindful in the present moment when you go, that stupid woman up there just said blah, blah, and I hate that? I totally disagree, and I'm not even going to pay attention anymore. How do we stay mindful in every moment? How do you stay mindful when you hear the President of the United States start talking on the news? Whether you like him or not. How do you stay mindful? Because I know I've heard some of you say the minute he starts talking, I turn him off. Just breathe. I want some of you to be aware of this. This is something I used to do on Wednesday nights when I was here on Wednesday nights. Most Wednesday nights I'm at the river at this point in time. But you can do this yourself. I've been doing it for the last 5 days. If you go to www.feastforthesoul.org, they have something every day. They have all kinds of meditations, mindfulness practices. It's really awesome.
Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. Valerie, read that out loud.
Mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmental.
Whoa. So which one of those means you the most? Non-judgmentally, yes. Whether it's about what's going on out there or what's going on in here. I'm judgmental. That's what I've learned how to do. I've been taught well by my teachers, by my parents, by everybody to be judgmental. It started in elementary school when you got papers with red marks.
Yes.
And it continues. So I want you to close your eyes. And I just want you to breathe for a moment. And just begin by scanning your body. And what am I noticing about my body right now in this moment? From the top of my head to the tips of my toes. Do I have any tension? Am I even able to close my eyes and be still? Or am I moving in my seat? And just be aware. Just saying to yourself that everything begins within. It begins right inside of me. And so in this few moments here, I'm going to become very mindful of me. Of the way I'm sitting in the chair. Of how I'm taking in information that's coming to me. Of that gentle cough you just heard. Of any sounds that are happening in this room. Of the thoughts that are flying through my mind right now. If I need to get to lunch. And I need to get to the Titans football game. Even for those of us who don't like football. Because it's all okay. And I affirm today that instead of being judgmental, I'm going to take Sherry Gentry's suggestion. I'm going to be curious. And as information or situations come by me, through me, in front of me, I just remain open and curious and mindful that there is a reason that I'm seeing this now. There's a reason that I'm hearing this now. There's a reason that I'm tasting this now. There's a reason that I'm smelling this now. There's a reason that I'm touching this now. And when and if I become more and more open to the one presence and the one power, I can then be kind to me and just allow. Remembering our oneness with all creation, I begin to awaken my world and the world of all of those I touch to infinite possibilities. And so I ask that you just gently bring yourself back to this place and breathe.
Still coming back. All right, your feet on the ground. Right? I'm here now. Grant me the courage to do all that I can when I'm afraid. Help me to stand, let me look in the darkness, see only light, be a brave beacon, shining ever bright. Open my heart that I might always see all of the gifts that've been given to me. I am a child of the light. I am a child of the light. Grant me the wisdom to know what to say. Where there is pain, let me take it away. Where there is heartache, hunger and strife, let me be the light, shining hope ever bright. Open my heart that I might always see all of the blessings been given to me. I am a child
Y'all give her one more hand, please. Get me every time, Miss Lady. Would you please join us in the prayer for abundance? I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life, and life gives back to me. And would you please join us in the sacred walk of abundance? Right up this way, and then pick up your affirmation kit. hearts and our minds, and we bless these tithes and offerings. But we also put our hand on our own heart and bless us. Because today is the day that I'm going to begin to shift my consciousness and begin to understand the true art of abundance and what that looks like. And I will begin to create a life that is worth living. And so it is. Amen. You know, I made a mistake. I don't know if anybody caught it. I said prayer for abundance. That's wrong, right? It's because we already got it. We don't have to pray for it. It's already ours. It should be the affirmation of abundance. I totally said it wrong. But now we're going to pray for something. Because protection, we need that, right? Please join us in the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a great week, everybody.
All right, let me get stuff shut down. So it's totally different. I love this.
We just have to find them.
It is very